Our boy Martel has been cooking in this game for 6 years, and he is still providing great value to the game in the end game for a lot of players. A bunch of counter rallies, a bunch of prickly rallies that you want to run with him, emergency city defense. Like, he does some things that are amazing. And even in the last KVK I fought, and KVK is going on right now, people are still using Gorgo with Martel infantry garrisons in Kingsland. It's one of the best things you could do against the Swarm. So we're going to talk about Martel. And for you early game guys, I've got my restart going on, and Martel, oh my God, is one of the most important commanders in the early game. So stick around while we get refamiliarized with our boy Martel. Hey everybody, I'm your boy War Daddy Chadsky. I put out videos for Rise of Kingdoms. As a sponsored content creator, I do videos all the time, and I absolutely love it. You guys know me. I love the game, love the community, and love everything about it. If you enjoy these videos, throw a thumbs up on it. Really helps out the videos. Also helps out the channel and that almighty algorithm. And if you're not subscribed, we're pushing over 75,000 subscribers for the community we built. And it doesn't cost you anything. Also, you can hit that bell if you want to get alerts when I put out content like this. Well, here's our boy Martel. This dude, we have been using this guy all over the place for a very, very long time. And I'm going to go through real quick his skills and just some of the things that you can look at. And for you early game players, you can skip ahead to the video because I'm going to talk about the application for Martel early in the game. But overall, the reason why, and this is a little bit of an education for you guys, because so many people try to figure out why a commander like Attila is like still relevant today. Well, one of the main reasons why, and probably for Attila, the biggest reason why, is because he enhances normal damage, right? Enhancing normal damage enhances combo and smite. And so with that being said, one of the other reasons why Attila has always been exceptional is because he has a massive all damage buff that he does on his 4th skill. All damage translates, it transcends. Commanders who have a ton of all damage, you'll find use for them in the late game because their all damage transcends. And Martel is one of the kings of all damage. Okay, just so everybody understands kind of where Martel's at in the pecking order of all damage, he's one of the highest. And mainly the reason why, it's not necessarily for his 30% all damage that he grants his march on his active skill. It's the fact that it lasts 4 seconds. It's a 4-second buff. And then he's got a damage absorbing shield, which is fine, not a big damage factor. And so the power creep has really overtaken that. But the all damage still works today. And that's why you're seeing counter rallies and artifact KVKs with Martel Attila, or the Martilla, we called it. You know, we started working with that thing a couple of years ago when we had artifact KVKs and people were like blown away. I love to run the Attila Martel. Just absolutely love it. And so from that standpoint, he's got applications for prickly counter rallies. All right. Or I've seen it many, many times. If you've got an artifact, you can easily go put a big time skill damage commander like a Shapur in front of Martel and give Shapur a little bit of prickliness. You could run Pakal. You could even put Martel behind commanders like Ivar and CPO Emilianus. We've seen all kinds of applications for Martel in the late game. And again, this goes back to the fact that the all damage transcends. It does not matter. It doesn't matter what kind of damage is being applied. The fact is he gives an all damage buff. He has got really, really good stat sticks. For an early game commander, like a K1 gold key commander, getting 60% of stats off of your second skill. Now you get that with your expertise, but typically it's just 30% of stats, which in KVK1 is really, really good. Infantry units gain 15% of defense and 15% health. Exactly what infantry needs. And then you get that expertise and it goes to 20% defense, 20% health, and hey, some march speed. Okay, we're going to go use this guy in the field. In an early game, you're going to use him a ton in the field. His third skill, little lackluster, okay? It's a city garrison attack buff that he gets, and it's a watchtower buff that he gets. It really doesn't mean anything. It doesn't even really matter. His third skill doesn't even work when you're in the field or you're rallying with this guy, okay? But it doesn't matter. One of the other reasons why he's so crucial, we talked about that 30% all damage that he does, and it's a 4-second buff. He has a perpetual 30% more counterattack damage. He is prickly as it gets, y'all, even to today's standards of the power creep with commanders. And that's why you still see this guy, okay? It's incredible that you'll see him paired with Gorgo in Imperium KVKs in the Kingslands. It's incredible. And so from there, you have all kinds of ways to get value out of using Martel. Eventually, everybody gets him maxed with gold keys, okay? And it still works today, unbelievably transcending the game. And so when you talk about his skills are still relevant today, and he is going to be really, really good in the early game, which we'll talk about in a bit. All right, his talent's pretty simple, y'all. I've got a couple. First of all, I got his field set up. Now, he has the defense tree with the garrison tree. So if you're in the field with a commander like that, you're pretty much going to go to a full infantry setup, okay? There's a couple of things that you can do to kind of mess around with this, and now that loose formation has added combo and smite damage, you probably run that up to 3 instead of 2. So you can probably peel off one of these. I would probably peel off the defense over here, but that's kind of how I would run his field when you've got it. You've got all, obviously, hella march speed here, and the defense tree with loose formation is really, really good. Of course, Burning Blood we love, and then Undying Fury, that's all rage stuff. And when you're in the field, you can grab those extra stats because you got really nowhere else to put them. We don't have a support tree. We don't have a skill tree over here. And we run the defense tree, so if you're in the field, this is probably the setup you run with. When I'm in the canyon and I'm in the early game, I could talk about this. Hold the line's great for canyon, as we know, because it's a slug it out fest, okay? And then you've got strong of body that you do. You run the rage, and then you run the iron spear to do more damage to calves. From there, you don't need any march speed stuff. You don't need any of that stuff. So you can, for canyon and for rallies, you can immediately go into here on some of these things for Testudo formation, loose formation, and this is really more of a canyon build. Let me show you what a rally build would look like, okay? Because a rally build, if you're running in primary, like a Martilla for the rally, you want to take this. Desperate Elegy is great because you're going to drop below 30% units remaining pretty quickly, okay? And so you take that all the way to 5. You take loose formation all the way to 3. Okay, you've got enough to run hold the line over here, and you've got enough to run strong of body, and then iron spear, and then obviously your Undying Fury. So that is what your rally build looks like, okay? So we have the field build, then we have the rally build, and you can even run this in Canyon as well. But if you want to do some other things in Canyon with just running some of this stuff or the full tree, you can do that as well. But this is the rally build for you, and it works out pretty good. Now, even in the late game, those of you who don't have like a mega garrison and you're a field player, you can run a city defense. And the city defense is really, really pretty good. Now, you got some token random points you're putting up here that you're grabbing 1% of stats from. But on the city defense, you don't want to go medicinal supply because you really don't want to heal for your city defense. Okay, you're just going to put more Sev wounds in the hospital. Testudo formation is fantastic. You don't want to go to Desperate Elegy because on the city defense, that's not going to really matter. You're going to be getting swarmed. And you're running up the rage anyways. You go loose formation, obviously, is great. Now, on the city defense, impregnable is awesome. Less skill damage taken is great. And you can also run nowhere to run. When you're serving as a city garrison, when you're hit with the basic attack, you gain 6 extra rage. So you like over rage crazy when you are getting swarmed in a 911 emergency city defense. Okay, so that's kind of how you can run that thing. All right, so with that being said, let me see here. Can we come back over here to his talents? I I'm going to change this up. We're going to reset this, and I'm going to set a KVK1 setup for your garrison, or if you're running him primary in the garrison. We'll reset this. You're going to run an infantry garrison, so hold the line is always really good. You can run the defense tree, but let's go ahead and get our points over here. Let's get our points here with Undying Fury. Let's get our points over here with Iron Spear. And we're going to go ahead and run in a garrison the Desperate Elegy all the way up. We're going to run Loose Formation all the way up, and that leaves 0 points. Okay, so that pretty much is the same as the rally when we run the garrison. And so from there, that's one of those things that we could use. The other thing you could do with that is you could not go for the Desperate Elegy. You could come over here and do Testudo formation. You come over here and do loose formation. You can, if you are running some sort of mixed garrison, you don't have to go to hold the line, but I love it. Hold the line is great if you're running infantry garrisons. And if you're in KVK1, this is the other way that you could do it. Let me see. You go ahead and do this over here. You do Iron Spear over here. And then down here, you can grab the really good points from the Empty Fortress stratagem. Okay, so basically that gives you 6% more all damage that you do, and then over here you take 6% less damage. So these are mega important in the garrison. Okay, so you can use those. We'll go ahead and put 3 more points over here into no weakness, and then we've got 4 points left. Okay, well, this is pretty simple. You can look at what's going to work out well. You get a 0.5 point of health here. You get a 0.5 point of attack here. I'm going to grab the health. I'm going to grab the defense, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab the attack. These are easy ways to do it. If you want more sustain, you can come over here into medicinal supplies. You're going to have to pull off one of these over here. And so that's how you can run some of your garrisons if you're going to have him primary in early game, or really in late game if you're going to run him as a garrison in late game. A lot of players aren't going to do that unless you're running a city defense and it's just a straight 911 city defense. Call the police. We're getting rallied or we're getting swarmed. So with that, that's great application for him. You're not going to run him in the late game in Canyon. You're not going to mess with any of that. And so from there, let me come over here. And I'm going to go back to the main, because one thing we do have to touch on is his museum buff, right? And when you get into the later game and you get the State Forum going, you're starting to get these museum buffs. When you get a museum buff, where is this thing? Martel has got kind of a cool museum buff set up, and I don't even know if I've got his maxed out. Yeah, I do. Of course I do. He gives you an extra 50% attack and 10% health. What? Like, you add that 60% attack and health, and you go add it to the 60% of stats he already has. Where's he at here? Where's my guy? You add it to the 60% of stats he already has, 50% attack, 10% health. You add it to this. He's literally, you're going into stat sticks with 50% attack, 20% defense, 30% health. Okay? That is 100% of stats with 20% march speed. That's insane, and that's why he works so well. So wanted to give that application when it comes to the museum, and it actually shows a little bit of how this thing works when it comes to Martel and why he is so potent in the late game. So with that, let me go to the early game here, because this will give players an idea and an understanding of how this thing works. I'm going to go to my early game account. Now, this is an account that I'm going to push T5, and I'm going to go get Zenith. We're still a month and a half, 2 months away from KVK1. And I'm going to show you something real quick. At the top of Sunset Canyon, once it opens for me here, you're going to see a particular player named Odin, right? Odin is running this Martel Pyrrhus, and it is impenetrable. Okay, you can see my guys here. You got Glocksky, you got Itachi up here, T1, Wabi, all my dudes. There's Killed, let's go. All my dudes in 4028. This is our restart. And you're going to see a Martel Pyrrhus, one of the best marches in KVK1. One of the best marches. So you can run Martel, and you can run him as a field commander exceptionally well. Now, I don't have him primary just yet. I've got him 5512, and the reason why he's very important in K1 and K2 is because players can get him 5515 and they can go run him in the field. Of course, getting him expertise is great because you get the march speed, but you can still run him 5515. KVK1, A 5.515 Martel is one of the best field commanders you can run in the game. And then you go put Pierce behind. Pierce is exceptional. Massive all damage, prickly as hell. Okay, his damage isn't amazing, but very tanky, a lot of march speed, and he just runs up the normal damage like crazy. That's why Pierce CJ is so good in KVK2 when you start introducing Smite into the game. And so you can run Martel in Canyon. You can run Martel in the field. You can run Martel in the garrison. We're going to run the heck out of him in the garrison because in KVK1, you don't have that much power creep when it comes to some of these other things that we have, right? You don't have much power creep when it comes to KVK1 stuff with commanders. And so one thing we can have a power creep on, oh my God, Zenith of Power. Like, let's go. Give us 20% damage defense. Me and Odin and Tachi, Wabi, and maybe Peace and some of the other players in 40-28 restart. We're going to be running Martel. We're going to be running Martel garrisons with the city defense, with the city skin, 20% defense. Let's go. But overall, he has done absolutely exceptional, okay? And so from there, with Martel, just absolutely incredible what this guys have been able to do. If you guys got a little bit out of this, or if you want to engage with me on this, get down in my comments. I love it. And like I said, if you guys did get some value out of this, throw a thumbs up on it. Give it a like, helps us out. But I love getting in my comments down below. Everybody knows me. I ain't hard to find, y'all. And if you want to engage with me on my Discord link is down in the description. Really easy to go in there, talk about this stuff. I'm getting more and more young players in there. And that's one thing great about my Discord. Okay, we've got super experienced players in my Discord. In the late game, we nerd out in there. We get on the cutting edge of what works, the nuances, commanders, the inscriptions on armaments, all the different things. But we love helping young players. There is no stupid question in my Discord. There is no stupid question. I got a question yesterday. Do talents work for the secondary commander? Listen, we all have been there. We've all been there. That's a noob question. That's a I'm a new to the game question type of a guy answering or asking that question. And we don't make them feel bad. We don't make people feel bad for asking those questions. You know why? Because we're all grounded in the fact that we were once there asking the same question 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5, for me, 6 years ago, I was asking that same question. So get into my Discord, great place to be and to get advice. And with all that being said, we hope you have a great day, broskies.